two semi-detached dwellings, like abutting semi-detached dwellings that are nearly identical, sell 4 weeks apart, and one sells for $75,000 more.
Yeah. It's
like, that doesn't make any, like, that's wild. Like, that doesn't fit the definition of market value.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with the exposure. If one party doesn't expose the property correctly, then they may not have got a market value offer.
Yeah. So Ben, tell your story. What exactly happened most recently to you with the listing that you had?
So I received a call probably December to do an opinion of value for a property in Niagara Region, 2-story semi-detached dwelling. And I was doing my preparation to, put together a little opinion of value, and same kind of thing. I was looking for comparable sales. I did check realtor.ca, and I actually noticed that the neighboring property, like the adjoining semi-detached dwelling, was listed. And to me, I kind of thought, it's not on the Niagara board. So there are 1,300 realtors and their clients that don't really know that this property exists, right? Like, there's no automated emails going out that this property is listed.
Absolutely.
And so in putting together the opinion of value, you're looking at it going, I'm not even sure if this is a great representation of what market value is, right? So that actually added a layer of complication to putting the letter of opinion together. Where it's like, this is the comparable sale, this is probably the best comparable sale, but I don't know if I trust it because it's not on our board. And if it's not exposed to 1,300 realtors and their clients, how can I hang my hat on that, right? So we kind of went into listing this house blind. It is 2 semi-detached dwellings. My listing, 2-story semi, 3 years old, like, nice house, nearly identical. Ultimately, we did accepting offers, listed on a Wednesday, presenting offers on a Tuesday, 45 showings, 7 offers, 50,000 over asking, $75,000 more than the adjoining property that sold 4 weeks prior. 75 grand.
Wow. So in a scenario, just for people that are watching and trying to make some sense of what we're talking about with regards to exposure. So when a listing gets listed on the MLS, it will, whether it's in Niagara or it's in Hamilton or it's in Kitchener or wherever, it filters through to realtor.ca, no matter what, right? You could agree that that's how it works. So people, the regular public, they can go on to realtor.ca and they can see that house and the location and everything. However, us as local agents, we don't use the realtor.ca website like as a regular tool in our day-to-day. We're using a system called Matrix. So with Matrix, we can see everything that has been put on our local board. And our local board, just to clarify, is the 10 municipalities in the Niagara region. Okay, just so everybody knows. So when we have a listing, we upload it on Matrix. It goes, within, a few hours, it goes to realtor.ca, and then the general public, whoever's on realtor.ca, can see it. So what Ben's referring to is the listing that was next door to him, this adjoining semi-detached. It was not listed on our local board. So the kicker with that is the exposure. So what Ben was saying is that if we have local people that are out there, looking for homes, especially in a time right now where we've literally got, historic low inventory levels, where people are scouring the market and really, they want to buy, but there's not enough stuff out there to see. In a time like that, this is a result of what's happened is that for whatever reason, that agent failed to upload that listing on our local board. Like the number one thing, you need to list it, in the local territory or local board that you're listing the house in. If you're not doing that, you're shooting yourself in the foot, especially for the seller.
Yeah, well, and this is actually one of the reasons why I was able to, get this listing, is because I was kind of saying to the seller, like, picture it this way, right? Like, if the seller's from the GTA, it's like, you give me a listing in Milton or Ajax, and I put it on our local board. How does that help the realtors in Milton or Ajax?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't help them, right? Like, there's 1,300 realtors that are aware of it here, and it'll be on realtor.ca, but the local realtors in that board, they have no idea.
Yes. And the other thing, just to spring off what Ben's saying, is that when we have clients set up on what we call an auto email, so we're sending them emails as listings are hitting the market. Again, that's going through our local board. So if our clients are not looking at realtor.ca, the actual website or app, they're relying on us to feed those new listings through our system to their inbox daily or hourly or however long or however many listings hit the market. So again, a lot of the time I've had clients that I'm doing both, where they're still looking at realtor.ca just because it's a force of habit. And I'm also feeding them listings. And then they'll call me or email a text and say, hey, why didn't this one show up? And they're almost like, not mad at me, but they're going like, why? How could you miss this?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they saw it first. So then I feel like a bit of a goof because, I didn't present that listing to them, before they got to see it,
Yeah.
And this is the classic example of what really could happen by leaving this amount of money on the table.
Yeah, and I think even too, like not the reverse, but even like a couple steps forward, like when you are going to prepare an opinion of value and it's a TREB listing on the Niagara Association of Realtor board, and let's just say it sells, you're not aware of the sale, you can't even use it as a comparable sale if you're trying to use Matrix. Like you would have to try to find it through your warehouse or the registry office, right?
That's right.
So now you're searching the registry office to say, well, I know there's a sale close by and I know what it's sold for. And then you look at Matrix to see, well, what kind of property is it? And then you have a hard time even using that information to help your current sellers, right?
Sure.
So this information, it needs to be on our board, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's both ways. You have buyers that might be a little bit upset, but even for sellers, how can you inform them, right?
So absolutely. So have you had anyone reach out to you by chance like that?
I did. Yeah. So the listing agent of that property, the adjoining property, he actually called me as soon as we listed it and just said, well, how did you come up with this number and so on? And I just kind of said, well, that's just where we think it's at, right? Like,
interesting.
we did all, like I did a CMA for him. That is my background. So I was able to pull a lot of good comparables and do the necessary adjustments to say, I do feel like this is where we need to be, regardless of what this property went for. I think this is where we need to be. And I haven't received a call since, or that I'm aware of. But yeah, I did get a call.
Wow. So why do you think, again, there's different scenarios here, but do you think that this agent maybe didn't even know to upload it on a local board? Or do you feel that because of this market right now, that it's such an extreme seller's market, that they really just took the path of least resistance?
I mean, I'd hate to think that it's anything untoward where it's a matter of a realtor just throwing it on the board and just trying to get it sold in a matter of days and just trying to keep, sellers in the dark of what the true value could be for that property. Like I don't, I'd like to kind of think that that's not the case, but
sure.
If anything, I think that's a possibility. But I also do think that there's just a lot of people who don't know about the fact that you can do interboarding of listings.
Sure.
So
Fair enough.
I think there's a level of, I don't know if it's ignorance or being naive or what have you, or lack of education. Like I think that there need I work for a good brokerage, you work for a good brokerage. They'll tell you this is how you do this. This is what you have to do to put the property on the other board, right? So but it turned into a very costly, simple misstep. Like when interboarding takes what? Afternoon.
Yeah. Full disclaimer. We're not trying to throw any agents under the bus. That's not what we're here to do. We're really just, it's about educating, some of the public and how the system works. And I think also showing it from Ben and I's perspective, how the system is, I feel kind of a bit archaic in a sense where it should never be so segregated like that. It should just be, very, very simple to upload. And I've done many of them on the TREB board before. It's a process. There's no online system. It's archaic. You have to, fill out the old sheets and send it through and then wait for your phone call. And it's really, really difficult. So I can see how, agents from out of town may have, just a complete misunderstanding or lack of knowledge in doing that. And do you find, Ben, especially lately, since you've been doing it over the last couple of years, that there's more out of town listings you're finding and for sale signs?
Yeah, big time. Because I think probably in 2016, 2017, like there was a lot of buyers in Toronto coming down here, right?
Yeah.
They bought up a lot of property. Now maybe their mortgages are coming due, right? It's 4 or 5 years later. And so now they're thinking, we're going to maybe unload these properties and then they'll use an agent out of the Toronto market to sell their property. So I think that was kind of the crux of what that social media post was all about, which is, again, not throwing shade at any other realtors, but like
Sure.
if you're going to use a realtor out of Toronto, like you have to understand and ask them the question, how are you going to expose this property to the market in the fullest? It has to be exposed on multiple boards. Like, so other than that, then by all means, use a local realtor. We're kind of used to this, right?
So that said, we're going to see more of it as we move forward. And I think it's important that home sellers that are local here, they need to understand and be aware of this.
Yeah, 100%. No,